Thank you for staying right there with us and welcome back. My good name is Baran Sakwa. This is the last conversation of the day and we are talking about matters entrepreneurship. We are speaking to an interesting entrepreneur who is live with us in the studio. He's beat all odds from his journey, trials and triumph of his entrepreneurship journey. He's basically ventured into business here, dread, okay? He's a professional loctician, or call him a hairdresser who's mainly majored in dreadlocks, okay? He's going to take us through his entrepreneurship journey from the first time he got employed and then he was let go, he went broke, and then to making up to 3.3 million Kenya shillings, that's $26,000, when he launched his pre-recorded online classes or lessons where he's teaching other young entrepreneurs how to make locks. And that is the conversation we're having. Guess we are speaking to Christopher Nganga, a loctician, or you can call him KRIS MCDRED. That is his mtaani name. Karibu sana, Chris. Yeah. Yes, so take us through your journey. Yeah.
I left Kenya 2008. To go look for greener pastures in Dubai. And for 3 years, I was on and off inside Dubai, still looking for a job, just going in with visa and coming out. And it was a very stressful moment in that time. But in that moment of being jobless is when I helped a friend do her hair. And then from there on, somebody asked, hey, Chris, can you do my hair?
Yeah.
And I said no, and they said, we'll pay you.
Right.
And I started making money from there on. And it took me out of a very tough place of being jobless and being penniless. You know, there's being broke.
Yeah.
And then there's being broken. There's being
but
poor
you're both of them.
and being poor.
Yeah,
you know,
impoverished.
Yeah, because when you say I'm broke right now, what you mean is that you don't have money.
Right.
But at the end of the month, you might have money.
Get it. Yeah.
But when you're completely broken, you have no hope of making any money anytime soon. So that's
you went through broke to broken.
Yes, that's where I was, where you're like, okay, God, why did you even bring me in this place?
And at some point, I love the fact that in your story, you are in church, serving faithfully.
That's why I left the church to go work in Dubai. You know,
what happened, please? Take us to that part. It's an interesting story. Leaving the church to go work.
I wasn't leaving the church because the church has always been I've never worked the church full time. Has always been, unakujaga job hapa, and then Sunday unaendaga wapi? Unaendaga church. So I serve church on Sundays. I've served ministries.
Yeah.
Sometimes even full time, but on a volunteer basis.
Right.
And so when I was living here, I was leaving to go now work. When I was here, I was still working and studying.
Right.
But I wasn't planning on settling down here. I was planning, okay, I'm gonna leave, and when I leave, then 3 years and I make dough. Alafu ni come, nijenge kinyumba kimall, and then I settle down.
Building castles in the air, right? And then what happened thereafter?
Then 3 years, you're still looking for a job. And so eventually I got a job.
Right.
Because the traditional mindset of being African is that you have to have a job. And it's not a bad idea because not all of us can be entrepreneurs and not all of us can be employed. And in fact, my advice for any entrepreneur or anyone trying to start business is have a job.
Yeah.
Because that job supports your business so that you have a consistent income when you're employed to cater for your basic needs so you can focus on the business.
Yeah.
If you're just focused on the business and bills are coming, half the time you'll compromise on your pricing, on your timing, on your integrity to make sure that you pay these bills.
Yeah.
But if you have your bills paid, then you have a lot of more voice on your business that you're trying to create until the day your business makes 60% of what your job gets you.
Okay.
If you're getting paid $1 million a month or 500K, and now your business is making you 250K, then you know, if I quit this 9 to 5 and give this job 100%, I can make the substance that I'm losing out. And in the next 3 years, because also there's an element of time, because people quit their job, nimeacha job, nimeenda biashara, and then 5 years down the line,
sounds fun and games
until you go kwa ground. And I say, when you're employed, you work 9 to 5. When you're self-employed, you work 5 to 9.
Interesting.
And people don't get to see that. Even on your vacation, you still, I wake up 6 a.m. in the morning to make sure everything okay. And it doesn't mean that I don't have some free time. I wouldn't trade the free time for a 9 to 5 because there's joy in there. But then also there's understanding. If you're not disciplined as an employee, you're not disciplined as a business owner.
Yeah, and I want us to go back to your story because there's some bits of it that are really, I'd say, learning moments. You earned your name, KRIS MCDRED, but then you call it KRIS MCDRED. Maybe what happened in the formative years of you learning this art of being a loctician? You've said you did a friend's dreadlocks and they were impressive. They were paying you, So what happened thereafter? Did you learn? Did you go to get training sessions?
Good
or
question.
Did you always gravitate towards being a Rastafari? Because dreadlocks actually are associated with Rastafari.
Yes. No, these are two different conversations. So
Absolutely.
let's first start with
formative years.
The formative and money and then come to the Rastafari.
Absolutely.
I went to now do the exact same thing that I advise everybody to do before you join any school, is to go online and see if you can get that information for free. So I went on YouTube. But YouTube did not have the information of what I was looking for.
What year was this?
This is 2008.
Yeah, 2008, I get it, yes.
And so I'm going to look for ways to do locks on black hair.
Yeah.
Nothing is available. No information is available until I found the two people that were talking. And it was one of those videos that you have to watch an hour to pick up something from it. So I would be doing something in the house by listening. To hear, okay, wine apple, I get the points. And then I realized there is no information. So I was like, okay, with the little information that you have, now you have to start doing trials and errors. And because I was in the Gulf and my clients didn't have anywhere else to go but me, I have enough time to know, wewe nitakuanza na 2-point rotation, huyu nitamwanza na 3-point rotation, huyu na 4-point rotation, and within the next 6 months, I can be able to see how each one progressed and to understand, okay, this is the best way to do. You have soft, watu wako na nywele za makamasi, you have curly hair, you have nywele za dengu, you know, you have thin hair, you have thick hair. How do you deal with all these? So there's types of hairs.
All these are gents or both are mixed?
Both. Actually, more ladies. Ladies have more locks than gents everywhere in the world, from my experience. And so, but the texture changes even from the same brother and sister.
Depending on the rest, right?
There's no one is like a fingerprint. There's no one who has the same texture with anybody else. But then we can group.
So, did you have locks as well that time?
No.
But you were making locks,
Yes, because I was still in the natafuta jobs phase.
Right.
Na huwezi kuwa na dread ukitafuta job because we still have the African mindset ya huwezi andikwa job ukiwa na dread.
But yet you're making
but I was making dreadlocks. And so in fact it became very instrumental in 2013. I had an afro after my wedding. I came and with my fiancée at that time, my wife, we had a wedding here. And she said to me, siweke dread. And luckily the place now I was working at that moment in time, I had hired somebody who had locks a year before, just to see the perception of the management and see. And then I was like, okay, I want a normal nayo. Then I was like, okay, I can, and now I'm in management, I can have it. And I was like, weka dread at least 2 weeks, juu nataka kunyoa nywele, because I'm in corporate and I'm like, yo, I want to grow in the corporate ladder. And I don't want anything.
So you want to keep up with the system?
I want to keep up the system. Now I'm wearing suits to go to work. Unaona, I've stopped being a gym guy, unavaa t-shirts, ukiingia na uniform. Now I'm wearing suits. And I'm like, ukiwa na dready, it will limit my movement. So I didn't want to have the dreads to begin with. And also being outside and having people, and you're a black person. You have an African.
In the Gulf.
Based on the hierarchy, not even outside the world, based on the hierarchy of the world, Africans are on the bottom of the food chain. And so people don't expect you to be smart. You see that in the corporate world. People don't expect you to be the boss. You go with your staff and people are like, they will shake hand with a white guy and then they're like, yo, he's the boss. Oh, sorry, yeah.
They give you a certain look.
Yeah, so you have to dress a specific way. You have to wear your cufflinks specific way so that when somebody looks at you, they're like, okay, that's the boss right there.
Looks smart. But what was the perception of your family? Because during that time I know association with locks, it was story nabangi and drugs and whatnot.
It's still there even now, it's going away. And it saddens me because it's supposed to be association with Mau Mau, the people who fought for freedom. Like where did we lose that identity of he looks like our forefathers? to be "Huyo ndio mtu wa bangi," you know. And I have
Yeah.
this famous saying where I say,
Yeah.
the people who smoke bangi, it's more the people who don't have locks than the people who have locks.
For
if
real?
you if you ask, you know,
Yeah.
so it doesn't make sense to combine the two together. But the origin of locks being associated with
Smoking
weed,
yeah.
comes from Bob Marley. And he did both good and bad. There's a yin in the bad. Good because everywhere I go, everybody knows Bob Marley. And everybody identifies locks with celebrity status. And, oh, you must be somebody.
Or Jamaican
And
roots,
yeah, you must be Jamaican and be somebody, because the corporate world would not accept you. The world will not accept you this
But I'm
way
seeing the
unless
Gen
you're
Z
a
is being
singer.
embraced right now with locks and
yes.
different kinds of
Now it's
braidings. Yeah.
Now it's different. The next generation is now the one that has come, be like, okay, now it's cool. Because now we are the parents,
Right.
who are like, it's okay to have. But our parents, my parents didn't. The perception was, I remember my mother having a conversation with my mother before my wedding day, because I had this ragged hair that was blonde on the top.
Right.
And she spoke to me and said, hii harusi utaenda hivi si watu wa kanisa hawatafurahi. And I said, Mom, unajua, there comes a point where somebody grows up.
Yeah.
You know, now I'm in that place where I've grown up. We can't have conversations about my hair, about my clothing, you know.
You're your own man.
Now I'm my own man. Oh, ukifikiria watakaa kwa nini. And I see that perception even until today. When you walk through borders, because I travel a lot, the perception of, okay, I want to search you.
Yeah. Or maybe you're associated sometimes with lookalikes who are Jamaican reggae artists.
I get that a lot.
Who have this kind of signature
Yes.
look. Does it have a name to it, actually?
Dreadlocks, it's just dreadlocks.
It's just purely dreadlocks. There's no longer ones that have a certain name or thinner ones, and these ones are a little bit thicker.
They do have, but mainly people just look from the outside. They either say dreadlocks or locks. But then inside them, there is the free form, that is the Jamaicans, the ones that are not, you don't need to go to the salon.
Yeah.
And then we have the traditional locks. This is now what is called the traditional locks.
Traditional locks.
Where they have a pencil size, anything bigger than a pencil size are traditional locks. And then you have sister locks, which are the tiny ones that are done, or micro locks, the tiny ones.
So what are the ingredients or the ensembles that go into these dreadlocks? Is it natural hair harvested from another person, or are there people who've grown it naturally? Like for these ones of yours, are they natural?
These ones are
some
grown,
additions.
Nothing added. I've been
These
growing
are
my
natural,
hair for
purely.
Yes, for 12 years. It will be 12 years in April next month. Purely not adding. It's mainly a combination of hygiene, how you wash them, because I wash my hair twice a week. It's a combination of well maintenance, how you oil them, if you cover them at night. And then mental health. How well are you taking care of your inner man?
So it's a spiritual aspect attached to it.
Yes, and just a well-being. How is your sleep hygiene onto it? And then thirdly, the technique that you use to make the locks.
Yeah, it's interesting because not only have you just done it for yourself, you've employed people that are working and also making impact for themselves, because there's a point where you started online classes in your story, and it was interesting because you made $10,000 US. That's equivalent to 1.2 million Kenya shillings in your first class the day you launched in a pre-recorded session.
Yes.
Please talk about it and how it unfolded.
I had been doing Zoom classes from 2020, and now this was 2022. So now I'm in almost 2 years. It was exactly 2 years because I started in June 19th, 2020. So now we're in September 2022. And I've been doing these classes on Zoom, and I'm feeling there's more people that I can reach. But I only have this much 24 hours. And so what do I need to do to reach more people? So I said, okay, let me record a pre-recorded class of my first class and see how it goes, and then I can pre-record the rest. So I pre-recorded it and pre-sold it.
So how's the recording done?
This is a studio.
Oh, so you have a studio?
Yes.
Yes.
The past I went into a studio. I didn't have a studio. I went into a studio.
You bought a studio session?
Session. I said, okay, I want the camera to face me, and I want the camera from up to face what I'm doing. And then I recorded myself.
Braiding a client? Or
crocheting, no, on a mannequin.
Oh, mannequin,
doing crocheting, call it crocheting. So I was crocheting and teaching from the basics. Okay, we start with ergonomics, first we start with the energy. I mean, what are you thinking before you touch somebody's hair? Because when you're laying hands on somebody, you're actually blessing them. And so the frequency of your thoughts is getting there. Just as simple as when I'm here, if I'm angry, I'm affecting your energy by just this conversation. If I come here in a weird way, it doesn't matter. You'll feel, and later on you'll tell people, oh, jamaa kuna vile, and you do it, you know. So that energy, you have to be in that environment to ensure that the person you're blessing.
You're centered.
You're centered, exactly. You're centered.
Does this apply to barbers too and saloonists?
Yes, but people don't think about that spiritual aspect of it.
Right.
You're a therapist right there. You're a healer right there. You're disseminating energy. And so if you're not in the right state of mind, if you're not in the right state of being present at that moment, then you miss out. Then I recorded that. I recorded what I was doing, and then I put it on a platform.
What platform was it?
It's called Kajabi. So they're hosting platforms that you can, because hosting on your own website is heavy.
Expensive,
it's expensive and maintenance is heavy. And so to host on a third-party platform is it's expensive, but it's better. So I hosted it there and then I launched it. And on the day of the launch,
how was the reception?
it was amazingly good.
And who are the people that you received a lot of, let's say, attention and reaction when you launched it? Because this was not happening in Kenya, actually.
I'm actually not known in Kenya.
Yeah.
In Instagram, I have 1.7%, which is about 3,000 to about 15,000 people who follow me. So I don't have an audience in Kenya. It was in the US.
Your biggest audience is in States.
Is in the US. At that time, I had 70% audience in the US. US, Canada, and France.
Right.
And UK. These are the 4 leading countries. US, Canada, France, and UK that purchase my products.
Right.
And so because I went digital, then I was able to, in fact, my next stage before the next coming three months, I'm going to have pre-recorded classes in other languages.
So that means you're diversifying to, to even Spanish.
Spanish, I'm going to do Spanish. I've tried to do it with AI, but it gives you some, it's almost like when you watch a German movie on Netflix. And it's like, what are you saying? It sounds very funny. Even their voiceover.
It's voiceover like.
It doesn't sound very well. And then
not conversational.
Not even conversationals. You know, no, it doesn't sound very well. So I've tried that, and I've given it to a French person.
Artist.
For a French person, be like, no, this is a wrong interpretation. So I'm like, okay, I might as well just take one of the people that people that I partner with, and be like, okay, you record this, and then we both get paid.
Yes, absolutely. And that's an opportunity that's been created right there. So the reception was massive, yeah?
Fabulous.
And then thereafter, because this happened in a day, and then in 4 days again, you did another one,
No, so it was a day, and then it went to 4 days. So it was the 26th of September till 30th of September. I'd clocked $26,000.
Wow.
And that's when I knew,
Do you know how much that is in Kenya shillings? It's actually 3.3 million Kenya shillings, sir.
Oh.
Was it big money that time?
It's big money, yes. It's big money because that's around 80,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
My yearly rent being 65,000 dirhams was like, that's a whole year's rent in 4 days. I was like, okay, this is good, you know? So I was like, okay. So from there, then I knew this is one, I can do more.
Yeah.
So now I have 17 of them.
Wow.
17 pre-recorded classes. And then it so happened very well because coming from Corona, a lot of people were into the pre-recorded classes.
Yeah.
You know, and then now from there, I moved on to, okay, the pre-recorded classes are doing very well, but let's go meet the clients. Let's go meet the people that are buying and understand the needs of their customers.
Yeah. So in these setups, what are the conversations you're having with your clients? Are they just giving you feedback because they've been excited, they've loved how you crochet, or they want more services, or you're there to teach them? Because the pre-recorded sessions are literally you demonstrating what you do.
Yeah, so what happens is the market asks for them. So when your customer tells you what you want, you as a salon person have no choice but to get that service. So when people get the same call, do you do crochet? Do you do instant locks? Do you do lock extensions? Do you combine locks? And the answer is no, 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 no. Eventually you will realize, okay, so you start to look, who's doing this? And so usually most people start to check online. Okay, who's doing this and how much are they charging? Then you find to combine locks is 3,500. To do lock extension is 1,500. To do instant locks is 500. And you're like, okay, I can learn this.
Right.
How much will it cost me to learn this? Oh, on pre-recorded classes, I'm going to pay $1,000. And I'm going to be able to make $1,000 from one client. It's a return of an investment that is quick.
And Wazungus love it, yeah?
Wazungus, it was not even the part. It's the African-American. Those ones aren't doing many layers.
Aren't the target audience, mostly.
Those ones have been the targeted audience. Even though, before the pre-recorded classes, when I was now a full-time loctician, it was the Wazungus that were making the most amount of money. Because I charge them $1,000 per session, per person.
Just to train them to learn.
Not to train them, to do their hair.
To do their hair.
Yes, and it takes me 5 to 7 hours.
Because you'd imagine I'm Zungu with the dreadlocks.
5 to 7 hours, $1,000. So for me, it was a lucrative business until Corona killed it. And then to get to the African-American market now, the pre-recorded classes, I realized they have a clash on, they don't want white people with dreadlocks.
Because so, they call it cultural appropriation.
And for me, it's cultural, number one, appreciation.
Oh, you call it now appreciation.
Yes. Number two, how can you tell somebody how to adorn their hair?
It's their hair, actually.
It's their hair. And we're living in a place where people can change their genders. And you want to tell me somebody can't have a hairstyle because you feel it's appropriating your culture. And what culture are we talking about? Because in Kenya we have 44 tribes. Do all of them have locks?
Right now.
47. Oh, tuliongezeka. Do all of them have dreadlocks?
No.
We have 3,000 cultures in Africa. Do all of them? Only 5% of them have locks. So where is the appropriation? Which culture are you appropriating?
Yeah. But I get it. If it's a white person trying to borrow my style, yet when we borrow theirs, they are very loud. Why not say something?
For me, you ask yourself, every city I've been to in the US, there is a Chinatown.
Yeah.
Why is there no black town?
Good question.
Why? It's because they are not thinking about cultural appropriation. You will never hear Chinese telling you these chopsticks are ours. We're the ones who have identity crisis, and we need to figure that out.
Yeah.
Because the Indians, don't worry, you can wear all the sari you want. You can eat all your biryani. And in every city I've been to, there's an Indian restaurant. In fact, it's the easiest food to find. But to find African food, why? Yeah. Because we are still gatekeeping what is ours. And so we are gatekeeping this, and I'm thinking, who's going to benefit from these locks if white people have it? Yeah,
absolutely. And I love it. You've been to 16 cities in the States.
Yes.
And you have, I think you have an upcoming trip as well to States or Germany.
I'm going to Canada next weekend.
Oh, it's Canada.
I'm going to Canada next
Before
weekend.
Canada, there's States.
No, I'm going to immediately next Saturday. I'm going to Canada for 2 weeks, and then I'll be in Dubai for 2 weeks, and then I'll go to the US for 8 weeks.
So what is the agenda in the trips?
I'm just teaching locticians. I'm mentoring them and raising. I do 2 things: teach locticians how to handle their clients and crocheting. And then I train other teachers so that, like, if I go to now Toronto and Montreal, I won't go back because somebody else will be teaching. And then we share the revenue. Yes.
That's a business. Actually, yours is on another level. When you look at how it's being done right in the Kenyan market, who would you say maybe are the greatest and largest consumers of logs? And would you say, is it as competitive as it is if you were to compare from up to these 16 cities you've been to? You literally become an expert at what you do. If you were to give an expert opinion from your panoramic understanding, how would you say it?
The Kenyan market is bigger because the population of, again, only 14% of American population is black. That's 44 million.
14%?
Yes.
Okay.
That's 44 million only. And so that's just the market that
America has over 333
million and some change. So the 87% for me is where the money is, because if you can get the straight hair people to get that, all this money, we're talking about $1,000, it just goes to another level. But when it comes to black hair, African hair, Kenya, if you walk the streets, 1 out of every 5 people you'll meet will have locks, which means there's a high demand for more techniques. And Kenyans are very, very good at what they do. That much I can tell you. I've seen so many incredible new things come up in the locking industry, especially when it comes to temporal locks. It's fabulous to see how the movement has gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's always been associated with, connotations of, if you see a young man in dreadlocks, probably he's a reggae fanatic. Others will even say that's a lunatic.
Yes.
And then our parents now will start questioning you if you've now, like for you, you've said,
become a
they
Mongeke or you
questioned
become
you.
a
Yeah, they
Rastafarian.
questioned you and said,
Yes.
you know what? And you
Yes.
had to stand up for yourself.
Yes.
Why do you think it's associated with being, rogue and uncultured in
I
Kenya?
actually studied that to find the origin of that source. The origin of that source goes back to Mau Mau. The first publication of Mau Mau in New York Times, which I read, was Terrorists in Kenya.
Wow.
I'm quoting, it was I think 1947 or 37. I had a subscription of New York Times, so I read everything about black people that has ever been written on New York Times. And it called Mau Mau terrorist.
Right.
And so coming from the forest, the people with dreadlocks were considered terrorists. And then now we've come to the New World and we become westernized. So if you have dreadlocks, you're considered backward.
Yeah.
And you're coming from the forest. And so from that mindset, anybody who's not employed, na wazimu wote ukipatana na yeye soko mwenye ako na nywele, African hair when it's left unattended, what does it do? It mats up and becomes dreadlocks. So that idea, and then to add on top of it, the ways that we used to do dreadlocks in the past was with banana sap, with honey, and then you're not supposed to wash it because the tribal people never really needed to wash that much because you're always consistently moving, or it's a problem to find water. Like if you find the Maasais who have their dreadlocks, it's a problem to find water. So there was no washing. And so there's an association with that backwardness.
Yeah, and it's still there today.
It's still there. And then reggae came in.
If you walked in, before you, don't even forget that reggae part, just hold on to it. If you walked into a government, here you're accepted because we want you here on the show, of course. Yeah, we love cameras and people like you.
Thank you.
If you walked into other spaces, let's say a Ministry of Interior right now, I'm pretty sure they'll look at you with other lenses.
There is the first impression, and then there is the first impression is the lasting impression. And so when I talk with people with locks, I tell them, you have to represent yourself very well. Because for me, when I walk into somewhere, instead of thinking a thug, instead of thinking a Rastafarian, they're first, wow, is that really dreadlocks? Look at his colors. Oh my God, who's this guy? I got
He doesn't have a blunt.
I didn't, yes, I got you, and I've already got you before you start prejudging me. But I get that. I get that when I'm crossing.
You've gotten it a lot in the past?
I get that a lot, even till now. When you
would
cross a
you say
migration.
it affected your mental well-being at some point?
No, it doesn't, because I know who I am.
Okay.
I've been arrested and searched crossing migrations a lot of times. Okay, let's see what you have here. Remove you. Let's see your hair. Can I touch your hair? No, you cannot touch your hair. My hair. Or you don't have any drugs. No, if you're touching everybody's hair, you have to search. This is hair like everybody. You have to search everybody with hair here, not just me. This is too old.
Security check-in.
Yes, I tell them, no. You're doing something that is too old. You do your check like everybody else, but it happens. It's still not fully accepted. But I go places and you find TSA people with dreadlocks. Now we have presenters with dreadlocks. So it's changing from that. And the police look at you, they don't stop me anymore. But if you dress like a thug and then you have dreadlocks, then you're making...
Also, there's a dress code that could possibly associate you with...
It's all the image, yes. Ukivaa suti hivi na una dread na umezishika pona ziko smart.
Nobody will question
Nobody will question you. But if you look raggedy, definitely people are going to be like, okay.
They'll smell a rat.
Yes.
Start smelling a rat. And they say, this guy...
Lazima
Lazima
akuwe na
kitu
kitu.
mahali.
Lazima akuwe
Even in
na
a group,
kitu.
I think it was also, the case of Rex Masai, who was shot during the Gen Z protest. He had dreadlocks, and there's also some sentiments that were shared. But, when you look at such events, again, happening to young people who have this kind of, look, I think you've said it's beyond the look. It has a spiritual aspect of it, consciousness and character, and how you conduct yourself. But for you, it's entrepreneurial. And look, you've toured over 16 countries, internationally, worldwide, and
the dreadlocks are taking
you're
me there.
making money.
Yes.
So would you advise a Gen Z who is watching this conversation right now that, yes, you can try this journey, and believe me, you will make money. You will make money.
Yes, but like I said, you always have to have your multiple plans. But we're in the era of dreadlocks. We just entered the reign of dreadlocks. this conversation is going to be normal. What I'm saying here, when we say it's going to be having dreadlocks is going to be normal so much. It's just it's blowing up so bad. So anybody who's interested in getting into the dreadlock business, this is the moment. This is that moment. It's about to take off super big. And I'm responsible for ensuring that it does that.
Word. Now, for a startup who possibly would want to venture into such a business of being a loctician, I've seen it in Kinyozis, it's working. I've seen a lot of ladies flocking into salons to get crochets and whatnot. Where do they start? For example, ametoka tu high school recently, anataka kuanzisha biashara kuunda watu madredi. Are there maybe items that they need to put together first before they set up their journey to being a loctician?
No, you don't. You just need your pair of two hands.
Your pair of
hands.
hands.
And somebody who is willing to be tried. And so to be tested on. And I would advise just go and shadow somebody. Go to a salon and ask them, I want to volunteer here. And shadow them. Because from there, because it's a hands-on thing, you will learn everything that you need to learn from there. Then from there, see if you've got the grit for it, if you've got the hand for it. Then from there, now invest in, okay, I need to go to cosmetology. Get the skill first. I need to go to cosmetology. I need to buy classes.
Like for this one of yours, if a person was to fix it, if another loctician were to fix it, what do they fix?
They will have to be very specially trained. Because I use a hook called a crochet. And there's a specific way of moving it. And if you don't move it correctly, you rip the hair apart.
So you're sensitive and conscious to it as well?
Yes.
Do you have a person who fixes that, or do you do it
yourself?
I
do it myself.
Okay.
I do, but I have people that I trust to do it. Because I had to start it to be able to, but I do have people that I go to when I travel who do it for me.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Now, what about your family? Because I understand you have a daughter. Yeah, and you're in a setup as well. Are they also, do they have this outlook?
No, my wife had locks since 2007, I think, if I'm not wrong. And that's where nimetumia kila kitu, including Coca-Cola. Yeah, like I did all tests to try. I learned a lot from trying to do her hair to make it lock. Hakuna kitu yenye hatujafanyia hiyo nywele. But now she's about to, she took a break and she said, now I'm ready to re-enter. In fact, I am certain that the next break I have, it's going to be doing her hair to begin with. But my daughter still has natural hair. I believe kids shouldn't be locked.
Okay.
Because the kid doesn't want locks. It's the parent that wants locks. And every time I tell that parents, they actually see it. I say, you're going to have a problem with this hair as a parent. You don't know how to maintain it because you haven't done research. And you're going to put structures in this child so they can't play. Usiingia kwa maji, you just got a retwist. Usiende huko, you can't roll on the carpet. So the child doesn't have room to be a child. But when the child is 7 years old, then you can be able to have a constructive conversation. You've done your research. And so I'm waiting until my daughter, I know when my wife has them, she's going to say, I want them. Then we'll lock her. So it's her decision as opposed to, but we allow a child to dictate what she wants. In her own life as her own individual. Yeah,
but because children do not even have the power to make a choice, parents make decisions for them. So it's very important to consider that. Now, I want you to talk about maybe what you're doing currently in Kenya, and if you're offering any help to probably those that are looking for employment as well, or are already locticians and they're trying out left, right, and center. Do you have social media platforms? Are you running any shops in Nairobi? I understand you're born in Nairobi, grew up in Nakuru as well, and then you are now worldwide, international, shortly? So
no, at the moment I am not doing any classes, but I'm going to be doing classes in Nairobi soon, later this year. And I just came to inspire the young youth that, hey, you can work with your hands. You can work, there's so much that you can do. Jiamini too, whatever it is that you're doing, even if somebody else is doing it, Jiamini, you do it. And I'll come back and support the Kenyan
audience market. Okay. Yes. So why can Gen Z's plug in? Because it's about
KRIS
the Gen Z
MCDRED,
stuff.
yes.
You have Zoom sessions as well?
No, now I don't have Zoom sessions. I have other people who have Zoom sessions that teach on my behalf. But I do the pre-recorded classes and I do hands-on training. Like I said, the next time I come, I'll probably do a hands-on training.
So I'll give them their social handles as well.
All my social handles are KRIS MCDRED in YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Those are the three main platforms. And Facebook. KRIS MCDRED. Mainly, if you want to contact me, is on Instagram. I would suggest you contact me and say exactly what you want to say, so it gives me an opportunity. People ask, can I ask a question? You have already asked the question. So ask the question that you want to ask. I like hearing questions because that's how I learn. Questions about your hair, questions about your business. Ask me questions because that's what I feed from those. Ask me questions so I can know what is the need of your customers and you, so I can be able to help you grow as a human being, as a person, and as a business. Ask me questions. I am here to respond to you. Thank you.
I know they've heard you. By the way, how does it feel to have these dreadlocks on your head? Are they like heavier?
When they're wet, they're heavy. But the rest of the time, I even walk around with my hair covered because people stop me just to ask me about. It's overwhelming to people. Like, hey, I like your hair. I like your hair.
So
can I take a picture of me? I like your hair. It's overwhelming.
That can be annoying sometimes.
It's overwhelming because you have to keep stopping. So I keep it covered most of the time.
Right. Okay. We can talk on and on endlessly, but we have to exit because this is TV. Thank you so much, KRIS, for sharing with us your story. I believe it has lessons in there, but I think the whole interesting aspect of you, just talking about your ups and downs, and now you're changing lives through, dready, and you're called KRIS MCDRED, but they're from Tani. That's how they know you. It's interesting. It's interesting how that came to be, and we wish you all the best. We can't wait to see you continue winning, right?
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, you're welcome. We have been speaking to Christopher Nganga, a loctician by profession. For anything, please go visit the platforms where he's mentioned. You'll find him and you'll be sorted. And we're going to do this. We are ending the show. It ends right here. Thank you so much for watching us from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. We'll absolutely see you tomorrow bright and early at Brian Sako 101 at Stephanie Ayeta at Y254 channel. See you tomorrow.